Ready? Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to, actually it's still morning, sorry. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 2 of the 50th Almond Conference, and so great to have you all here and see this room so full at lunchtime. Our sponsor of the lunch today is Yosemite Farm Credit, and we'll hear a little bit more from them in a moment, but many thanks to that organization. And the team that's over here for your continued sponsorship. I don't know how many years it's been, but it's been a lot, so thank you for that. And then also, obviously, to our other sponsors. I hope you've been able to interact with them on the exhibit floor. And again, just so appreciative of their financial and other support they give to this conference, as well as to the industry throughout the year. So one thing to point out, a little statistic, is that we have the largest number of exhibitors ever down in the exhibit hall, 280. And more than 30 sponsors between the medal sponsors and other sponsors like Yosemite Farm Credit. So could I have a round of applause, please, for all of them? And some of you may recall, I can't remember if it must have been a couple years ago. Anyway, I said to my buddy Stan Chance from Yosemite Farm Credit that, you know, he'd been giving out $300 each year for a lot of years, and didn't seem like he'd taken inflation into account. So I think last time I got him up to 400, and I want to announce today that it's now $500 that he's giving away. So I think you're outpacing inflation, actually, by the way, so good for you. So yeah, we've got some lucky winners, hopefully, in the audience. Take it away.
Yes, we do. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Richard, for putting on another stellar conference and attracting all these amazing people. Absolutely. This is a great group of people. Yosemite Farm Credit gives you a warm welcome to lunch today. I appreciate the candor of the presentations that have happened here this week. It's not ignoring the financial reality that we're in the midst of. There's been several metaphors that have been used, some of the best of which occurred yesterday at the State of the Industry. One was by Jonathan Hoff, a medical one, but we're going to go with the animal kingdom one with Rabobank, with the rhino and the black swan. But the black swan was about, you don't know it's coming. But the rhino, it's out there, and you can see it, and it's heading towards you. And just to pull that metaphor a little bit more, don't be the ostrich that put your head in the sand. But if you're standing on the field with a rhino, what's the first thing you're going to do? Well, you're probably going to pray, which is great. Don't stop doing that, and I probably should do an invocation instead of going on here. But if you talk to your lender, because there's a rhino out there. We're all talking about it. You can see it. But yeah, talk to God, but also talk to your lender, because if you bring in your balance sheet, your tax returns, and your projections, we can tell you what size that rhino is. We can tell you how fast it's coming towards you, and we can probably tell you the moment of impact. So while God can save you maybe in the last second, a banker doesn't have that skill set. And so just be sure to connect with us sooner rather than later. We'll see if there's a tree to hide behind for a little while the rhino's on its way. I'm also want to plug the Almond Leadership Program. The last day to apply for that is this week. I'm a mentor for that, so I get to talk about it. I'm the weakest link on it, but everything else is really fantastic. And I do have this $500 that I want to get rid of today. There are several ways to use it. One is to go to the UK, where it's worth a lot more there now because of the exchange rate. But there is a raffle going on for the FFA fundraiser. That green truck is not advertisement. Thanks to American Ag Credit, they've donated that. $100 will buy you a raffle for that, and God bless them for doing that. But today, the winners of the $500 bills, 100 each. If you can come on up here and receive them if you're here. One is A.J. Bernstein from BFlow. The second one is Caroline Kay from Advanced Nut Crop Sciences. The third is Eric Morales with Wonderful Nurseries. The fourth is Leela Schneider with Wilbur Ellis. And the fifth is Marlon Flory. I know you feel like he's contributed, but we're going to get back to Marlon Flory. So congratulations for each one of you for the win.
Let's see if anyone's here. Any of those folks here at the moment? No? Okay. Guess you don't have to be present to win. Thank you, Stan. I would like to emphasize, Stan mentioned it, but Stan is an almond grower. He's a banker. He's a mentor for the leadership program. He's been involved with the committees at the Almond Board. So a really outstanding friend of the ABC. So thank you, Stan. And thank you, Yosemite Farm Credit. All right. So without further ado, we're going to get into today's lunchtime discussion. And I'd like to invite Danielle Vinstra out to get us started. Danielle?
Thank you, Richard. So good afternoon now, everybody. I think it's noon now. I'm Danielle Veenstra. I lead sustainability communications for the Almond Board of California. I'm also a third-generation almond farmer. But I'm excited to come up to you and talk to you again today. I spoke at the morning session, Building Global Demand, and one of the things that I talked about there was how in the importance of third-party partnerships in telling our story, both on the health and nutrition and marketing side, as well as on the sustainability side. And so this panel at lunch is going to speak more to the influencer component of that. But these third-party partnerships are very important, and they lend extra trust and credibility to getting our messaging out there. So we still do traditional PR and communications and advertising, but influencers are a way that we're getting our messages out there in this new and exciting way, but it also adds layers of trust and credibility. The Almond Board, over the past year, has worked with 100 different influencers, and together they have reached 114 million people around the world just this past year. These influencers that we partner with span the gamut from the health side of things. About 90% of our work is in that space, really reinforcing all of the positive attributes of why people eat almonds. And about 10% are focused on telling that story of how we grow and building trust in almonds and in our industry and our farmers. So we're excited to bring to you today influencers who span that, current partners of the Almond Board who are out there telling your story and promoting your and our product. And to do that, we have some hosts for our panel today. So who will be leading you today is Kath Martino. Kath does both global marketing and reputation and sustainability communications for the Almond Board in Europe. Kiku Severson works globally as well in the US and Europe on our digital and social programs, really leading up influencer work in that sustainability space. And then we have Becky Jeffers, also from the Almond Board, who works in global marketing in North America, focused on the United States and Mexico. So thank you guys, and over to you, Kath.
Thank you. Clever little things. A nutrition powerhouse. Nature's multivitamins. A zero-waste food hero. A climate-smart snack. The ultimate healthy snack. A snacking game changer. The list really goes on and on and on. And what each of these accolades has in common is that they've all been bestowed upon California almonds by our influencer partners from all over the globe. Today, I'm absolutely thrilled to be introducing you all to 3 of our influencer partners who collectively have a social media following of just over 5.5 million people. Each 3 of these individuals who we'll speak to today has a very different community. They each create very distinct content, and they each stand for something very different. But what unites them all is their passion and their commitment to making healthy living accessible to people, and importantly, showing people the role that California almonds play as part of a healthy lifestyle. Our first guest today is Maya Feller. Maya is a registered dietitian, and she's a nationally recognized nutrition expert who regularly appears on the likes of Good Morning America. She's one of this country's leading, most trusted sources of information on nutrition and health, and we're absolutely thrilled to count her as an ally of California almonds. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Maya Feller.
Welcome welcome Maya to Influencers Live. So great to have you.
Hi, Becky. Hi, everybody.
So as we wanted to start out, we know that you're an authority, really, when it comes to healthy eating. So just give us a glimpse into your world. What does it look like when clients and maybe even media come to you asking for food advice? What topics are they interested in?
That's a fantastic question. In my practice in Brooklyn, a lot of the work that we do is with people who have non-communicable conditions. So conditions like diabetes or cardiovascular disease, also metabolic kind of deficiencies. We also work with people who are at risk of developing those conditions. Now, what are people asking me? Usually they're saying, how can I make food choices to really support my metabolic health? What does it look like for me to engage in a sustainable pattern of eating, one that helps me reach my health goals and outcomes? And in my practice, and also in my work nationally, I really work from what I refer to as a lens of cultural humility. This means that there are social norms that we all agree upon, right? So there are ways that we like to eat. How can I help people to embrace the foods that they know, like, and love while supporting their desired health outcomes? So that's really in line with what I see a lot.
Great. And then just is your role on social media or on TV appearances, what do you feel is your kind of personal mission or role in changing behavior, really, of folks' eating habits?
So as a registered dietitian, we're completely obligated to provide evidence-based, credible care. Almonds are, they're incredible. I could say incredible, 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 incredible. We're talking about over 200 research studies looking at almonds. So from my perspective, when I'm thinking about those non-communicable conditions, almonds are at the top of my list. So when I'm out there and I'm trying to spread information from this evidence-based perspective, I'm thinking, what are the foods that have the research to back it up? What are the foods that are culturally relevant around the globe? In fact, it reminds me of visiting some friends who were from Jordan, and almonds are really prevalent there. Usually it shows up around dessert time, tucked into a date, oh so deliciously. Would you believe that that's what us dietitians are telling people all the time? Have an almond in a date together, right? But that's culturally relevant for them. Or like in Italy, for example, shows up as a part of an appetizer. So what I'm thinking about are, what are those through lines as we look around the world, and how do I link that back up to helping people make these health choices that improve their kind of baseline outcomes? And I do that in my practice, and I also do it when I'm on TV, and I also do it when I'm writing. I have a new book that's coming out. It's called Eating from Our Roots. It'll be available January 24th. And in that book, I really talk about food as medicine, but I also talk about food as nourishment and something that is soul-filling.
Yeah. And great, and I know you mentioned almonds a little bit, but can you elaborate a little bit more how you feel almonds fit into healthy dietary patterns, and maybe do you have some mentions in your book?
I totally do have some mentions in my book. So here's the thing that's really funny, right? Even if I were not contractually obligated to speak about almonds, it's a no-brainer. It's a win-win for me. We're talking about high-quality plant-based protein. We're talking about fiber. We're talking about heart-healthy fats. Globally, these chronic conditions are on the rise. So almonds are really a choice. They can be a snack. It's really versatile. There's so many applications. In my first cookbook, it was really centered around diabetes. Almonds showed up as a slow-release fiber and plant-based protein that we used and substituted into breakfast pancakes. We also had it show up as almond meal that got baked into waffles, right? Because these are comfort foods that people know and like. And so the question is, how do we get you to eat those things that you love, but in a way that supports your health? In my forthcoming book, Almond shows up, and you guys had no idea. Of course, I use them in a number of recipes because it really meets those health goals that I'm talking about around diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and hypertension. Also, Becky, I have to say that there's all of this compelling research that I know we're going to talk about in a moment, so I won't spoil it. But there's research around almonds and gut health, right? And when we're looking about digestive conditions, we know that more and more people are really talking about digestive health, and those prebiotic fibers act as nourishment for the probiotics in the gut. So we're really talking about helping people to kind of think about their immune health on the long term when you're consuming almonds.
Great. Yeah, and just kind of diving right into how we've been partnering over the years. We've been partners, but also just using you as an advocate, as you mentioned, even when you're not under contract to speak about almonds. It's so great to hear that you do that. So we have a piece that you did for us on social media. This is actually just a screen grab. We're not going to play the whole video because Maya tends to go above and beyond. We didn't want to take the whole time, but it's just speaking about our partnership together. This particular example, you're touting the vitamin E benefits of almonds. So maybe just share with the group a little bit more about that research that you share, about other things that you like to tout when you talk about almonds.
Okay, so the truth is we all want to look good. I mean, at least my patients, a lot of people come to me and they're like, what can I do to improve my skin health? And I say, really what we want to look at is kind of your antioxidant intake. Almonds, prebiotic fibers, antioxidants, including vitamin E. So you can see here that 1 serving of almonds provides 50% of the daily recommended intake for vitamin E, which is an antioxidant that is important for healthy skin. Now, we talk a lot about the gut microbiome, but the skin is actually arguably our largest organ. So when we're looking at how do we protect our skin health and the integrity of our skin overall, we're really talking about increasing our antioxidant intake, leaning heavily into plants, right? Having them show up at the center of our pattern of eating as well as snacking. I often say this, vegetables are the most under-consumed food worldwide. If we could get people to add 1 plant to their plate every single day, we'd be winning. Guess what? Almonds are that. It's so easy to add. There are many applications, right? In my house, for example, we like to make tamari almonds. I'll spread the almonds out on a sheet pan, put a little bit of tamari on it, low sodium, because I'm a dietitian, roast them, and then we've got them for snacking later. I know it's going to be great for my gut. It's also going to be wonderful for my skin.
Awesome. Great, and just delving into some of our partnership details, obviously you created videos like this on social media. Tell us maybe about a post or two that was most enjoyable for you and what the reaction from your followers was. How did people respond when they see your almond content?
So one of our partnerships was actually during the shutdown portion of the pandemic. And I was home with my family, like many people were. I have 2 children. I have a small girl and a medium-sized boy. And, I was creating this content at home with them. And I'll never forget, we were doing a snack post, and we were also doing a snack and workout post. Plant-based protein, perfect hand-to-mouth snack, there are no additives, almonds. So we had all of these funny little kind of things from the house. So like a detergent, and I had like huge cans of beans, because at this time I was having everything delivered to my house in bulk. And let me tell you, in New York City, when we say bulk, it's basically like for the whole block. So I had all of these gigantic kind of food service size things, and we were with almonds there in the front and doing this workout. That video went totally viral, and we had over 1 million views.
Awesome.
It was like incredible. People were really into it because we were just showing how almonds, kind of are in my life regularly. Another thing that I think about is when I go on air, almonds are really a very easy choice. And when we're thinking about what's recognizable, what's accessible, and also what is affordable for the general consumer, almonds are always at the top of my producer's list, even without me suggesting it. And it's so easy for me to modify any existing recipe to include almonds. So you'll see me talking about it. Every time I go on air, I have to say this. Anything that I talk about, I haven't been paid to talk about, right? That's of my own volition. So if you see me on air talking about almonds, it's because it's relevant to whatever that segment is, and it's relevant to that moment.
Perfect, and that's what it's all about, right? Being relevant and conveying that almonds can fit wherever and whenever for people. So thank you so much.
That's exactly right. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Becky, and thank you, Maya. Now, Maya is just one of hundreds of health professionals and health influencers who we work with all over the world. And what we're going to show you now is a short 60-second video where we really give you a flavor of the impact that this health community is having in terms of putting California almonds firmly on the global stage as the ultimate healthy snack. Can we play the video, please?
Ma in prima vediamo ormai la nostra alimentazione da I am a huge almond fan.
Don't got enough energy in you? Almonds might be one of those sources to get yourself some brain gains.
I'm always trying to reach for something nutritious, and so I love to have almonds in my car or in my purse.
Sounds good.
Definitely recommending almonds.
I definitely love nuts.
Almonds,
Nuts have
yeah.
prebiotic fibers.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So switching gears now and moving from health to sustainability. Our next guest today has made it her mission in life to help people live their lives a little bit more sustainably. Her name is Shelby Orme. She's a trained scientist. She holds a master's degree in environmental science. She's a skilled environmental communicator, and she's one of this country's leading YouTubers in the environmental living place. Over a relatively short period of time, Shelby has built a real trusted following of people who are looking to do their bit to reduce the impact that they're having on the environment. And we really are blessed to count Shelby as an ally for California Almonds. So please join me in welcoming her to the stage.
Hi, Shelby. It's so good to see you again.
Yes.
I think the last time I saw you was at my family's almond orchard in Turlock back in bloom, and it was a beautiful year to see it. But, you know, I just wanted to thank you on that note for just everything you've done for this industry, continuing to tell our sustainability story, and we'll dig into more about what you've done for the almond industry. But just broadening it up a little bit, where do you see this food and sustainability space online, and like what does your audience want to learn about food, and what kind of questions do they have for you?
Well, I'm in a really unique position because I receive hundreds of comments, messages every week asking about how people can live more sustainably. And a lot of times as consumers, that comes down to our purchasing power. So people want to know how they can make purchases that are more sustainable. And when it comes down to things you can buy, a lot of the times you only buy a new couch, right, once every several years. Maybe you buy body care once a month, but you eat multiple times a day. And so there are a ton of questions around sustainability and food, and that can range all the way from, is plant-based really the most sustainable option, to are almonds a sustainable choice, oftentimes referencing their water footprint, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. And my answer, since I like to talk and I love gray area, is usually to make a 15-minute YouTube video about it, and always diving into that sustainability is not black and white, and no food is inherently good or bad, including almonds.
Yeah, and I know we've been working together for a few years now, so could you speak a little bit about how almonds maybe fit into that sustainability space you're talking about?
Yeah, well, so almonds, in general, over time, as I've been in the sustainability space for over a decade, and I've watched the culture shift and the information and all those sort of things, and almonds have very much gone from an important staple to a healthy diet, as you know, and also important for plant-based living. And now, a lot of times, because of the propaganda that I talk about all the time on my platforms, this is an example of it, it very much has been boiled down to, pun intended, to their water footprint. But what I really wanted to do through our content and working with California Almonds is speak to the other aspects that make almonds sustainable. So it's about more than their water footprint. It's about the tree recycling, orchard recycling, which consumers relate to because they understand recycling already. It's also like cover crops because everyone loves a pollinator, and talking about how that's important to sustainability and that almonds do that. And in a lot of ways, almonds in California are leading the way in sustainable innovations when it comes to farming. So I think it's really important to expose your average consumer to that information outside of just almonds, water, bad. There's a lot more to it than that, which is where I really thrive, in those nuanced gray areas.
Yeah, I think as a farmer myself, and I'm sure a lot of people in this room can attest, like it feels good to have someone like you who has such a powerful and really respected voice in the sustainability space, not only just acknowledge, but to appreciate what this industry is doing, because I know we're all working incredibly hard to grow a sustainable, nutritious food. And I know personally for me and a lot of people, like sustainability is very, very important, but it's not perhaps like the most important thing.
Right.
And I think your content does an incredible job of bringing that nuance that you're talking about into the conversation and correcting some of the misinformation that we see. And I know you do a great job of that. And I think we have an example on the screen of water. And so I would love to hear a little bit more about how you correct that misinformation and sort of how does your audience respond when you're talking about these almond-related topics?
Yeah, this piece of content is really a good example of that because I have built a following who knows that I like to talk about things from multiple perspectives. I'm a nerd for life cycle assessments, and this is a good example of that, right? Let's stop talking about just water and let's talk about all the other aspects of it. And at the end of the day, sustainability is really about science, right? Science drives what we know about sustainability. It drives the numbers we're trying to hit and all these sort of things. But average consumers, they don't really know how to interpret that a lot of the times. And so I think influencers like me are the perfect link between people like everyone in this audience today, people who are farmers, oftentimes scientists. It's a lot of numbers, data, and then there's the consumer, and then there's me. So I feel like I function oftentimes as the link between those two things, and really importantly to bring the sustainable aspects of almonds to the average person's attention, because while the water footprint of an almond might get the front page of many large media outlets, the other sustainable factors that you guys are all doing doesn't really get the same voice. And so I kind of function as a place to give it that voice and to explain it in a consumable way so that the average person understands it a little bit more.
Yeah, and I know we've nerded out for sure about the LCAs and all of those things because it's kind of unique to the almond industry. We have LCAs, and we've talked about this, that's kind of unique to our industry. And so I just thank you for everything you've done to sort of bring awareness to that and bring nuance to the food conversation and awareness to people's plates.
And I also always like to say, absence of evidence is not evidence of absence, because almonds, they do a really great job of the LCAs, right? Mm-hmm. We know what the footprint of these crops are, but many other crops do not have the same thing. And so I think it's important to even just bring that nugget to people's attention. Like, you know a lot more about the footprint of almonds because of their media presence, but other foods also take water to grow. I think it's important that we acknowledge that, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for everything, and we really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Kiku, and thank you, Shelby, not just for being here today, but really for defending the responsible growing practices of this industry.
Absolutely, yeah.
And Shelby's not alone in her quest to educate people about how California almonds are grown. We're going to show you now a second short video in which you'll start to get a feel for the influence that the community that Shelby belongs to, the partners that we have in this space, the impact that they're having as they build trust in almonds as a food that's not only healthy for me, but healthy for the planet too. We see the video.
Hello, everyone. This is my zero waste almond.
You can make vegan pasta. Currently in an almond orchard in California. Now, did you know that?
In Lodi, California, where I'm learning about the sustainability of almonds.
Hi. Hello. Hi. Oh, the blossoms are beautiful. Yes. Have you ever heard of bee pastures? Yes, they are as adorable as they sound.
Almond farmers in California have reduced their water intake up to 33%.
I've been learning about how almonds are grown in a zero waste way, which means that everything
sour. Wow. Don't throw it out. It's actually the
And last, but by no means least, it's time now for me to introduce to the stage our third and final guest today. And it's also time for my accent to suddenly start or stop sounding quite so unique, because my third guest today is a fellow Brit. His name is Ian Thiesby, and he's one half of the duo better known as Bosch. Bosch are the face of the plant-based movement in the UK. Ian and his business partner, Henry, are social media sensations in their own right. They're best-selling authors of 6 plant-based cookbooks. They have the world's most viewed YouTube channel for plant-based recipes, and they have a range of Bosch-branded plant-based foods that are widely available in UK supermarkets. And the best news for this room is Bosch are really on a mission to take the US by storm in the next 12 months. So please join me in welcoming to the stage Ian Thiesby.
Hello. How's it going?
Hi, Ian. Thank you for being here today.
Well, thank you for having me.
How's the jet lag?
Jet lag's all right, for now. I'm sure it's going to get worse.
So, can you start by talking a little bit about who Bosch is and what Bosch means, what your purpose is, and rewind 6-7 years to when you and Henry started Bosch and the community that you've built really since then?
Okay, sure. Before I do that, I'm going to extend Henry's apologies for not being here. But he would be here, he'd love to be here because it's always a massive treat to come to California. But he is about to become a father for the first time. So he asked the question, he said, MJ, can I go to the States? And she was like, no way. So yeah, you've got me, but that's good. So anyway, Henry and I have known each other since we were 11 years old. And 7 years ago, we were living together in a flat in North London. And as part of a New Year's resolution, we decided that we would trial vegetarianism for a month to see how we felt at the back end of it. So after a month, we felt great, lost loads of weight, hair got thicker, skin got clearer, was sleeping sounder at night, and just had good clarity of thought. And we did that for like a year. And over the course of the year, we were writing a lot of recipes, coming up with techniques to get the most out of plants. And after a year, we decided, there's something here. Maybe we could, try and set up a business. So we did. And the business started on Facebook. We wrote some recipes, we made some videos, we popped them on the internet, and they went really, really viral. I won't bore you with the whole story, but I'll fast forward to now to give you an idea. So the videos that we've put on the social media channels that we operate on have been viewed over 3 billion times. We've sold 1 million cookbooks in the in the UK and across the world. We hosted the UK's first plant-based cooking show called Living on the Veg, which was really cool. And now we've got products, as you say, in supermarkets in the UK. And I've actually just taken it global very recently because we've got some products in Dubai. And a big part of our plans for 2023 are to bring all the wonderful plant-based products here to the United States as well. So yeah, it's all quite exciting.
I know you're evangelical about plant-based, but not in a preachy way, right? To me, your reason for being is all about popularizing plant-based, almost destigmatizing it and making it mainstream.
Yeah, it's always been about that for us. We're not preachy in any way. People can do whatever they want, but our mission is to put more plants on plates. And we think that if people are eating more plants, it's probably going to be quite good for them. Because let's face it, when you were growing up, your mum was like, eat your veg. Obviously maybe not the chips, but yeah, she was always telling you to eat your veg, and we've just kind of taken it literally. But yeah, like you say, we're not preachy in the slightest. We're just 2 lads from Yorkshire and Sheffield. We like to eat a burger, we like to eat a pizza, but we just have them plant-based.
So what you're talking about here is behavior change on a grand scale.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a tall order. So can you talk a little bit about how you measure the impact that you guys are having when it comes to encouraging people to eat more plants?
Yeah, I suppose usually things are difficult to measure, but one thing that we've got is these social media channels, and we can measure how successful the recipes are by the views that they get and the comments that they get as well. So like I said before, we've had like 3 billion views, and the average kind of views on the videos that we put out around about 300,000 or 400,000. So yeah, it's kind of obvious that a lot of people are really enjoying watching the videos and hopefully cooking the food at home.
And to me, another thing that is really a measure of the influence that Bosch has is your ability to create trends and to create content that goes viral. And what I'm specifically thinking about is a couple of Christmases ago where you guys created what's become infamous mushroom Wellington,
Yeah.
where you switched out the beef for mushrooms. And at the time, I remember thinking, goodness, the impact this must be having on mushroom sales, and how can we work with them to do something similar for California almonds? So can you talk a bit about that specific example, and how that came about, the organic nature of some of the content that you create?
Yeah, sure. I mean, with the mushroom Wellington, for us, it was kind of trying to solve a real problem. And the problem was, if someone has decided to start eating a plant-based diet, then, the Christmas dinner table becomes quite an awkward place to be, because usually there's a massive turkey there, or a beef Wellington. And what we wanted to do was create something that was like a fantastic centerpiece, something that sits in the middle of the table, that looks really impressive, and that like carves properly. So, so the mushroom Wellington that we created has been cooked by, no joke, hundreds of thousands of people all across the world. Who have decided to eat more plants. And it's probably, I would say, out of all the recipes that we've done, that's been our most proud one, because it ends up on people's tables. And we've had supermarkets say that mushroom sales are going through the roof. Now, that isn't necessarily just because we made a mushroom Wellington, but I think it's just indicative of the way that people are eating more plants all across the UK and beyond.
So segueing then from mushrooms to almonds, what do you and Henry see the opportunity being for California almonds?
I mean, almonds are just such a fantastic ingredient, They're wonderfully versatile. They're great in sweet and great in savory, and there's not many other ingredients that can say that, okay? And one thing that I think that almonds could do is take a chunk of the market share from things like popcorn, from potato chips, from peanuts, from snacking seeds. We went over to 7-Eleven just over there and noticed like this big rack of snacking seeds. I think one was called Spitz, the brand. We don't have it in England. But I was like, well, this could quite easily be almonds. Another thing about almonds, which I think is really cool, is you can have this one for free. So people love Parmesan, right? They'll get Parmesan and like grate it onto basically everything. Right. How about if you basically take a bunch of almonds, you roast them to bring out all those wonderful natural flavors, and then you mix them with nutritional yeast. You know what nutritional yeast is?
100%.
Yeah, you know that.
We have that in Brooklyn.
Oh, it's so good. So those of you who don't know what nutritional yeast is, it's kind of these little flakes that taste like cheese. So the idea here is, okay, almonds, nutritional yeast, salt, pepper, whack them in a mixer, blend them all up into like this like rough, coarse powder, and then call it Parmesan. Right, I think there's something there for sure.
Oh, I think Bosch can make that.
Yeah, we can make that. Yeah, maybe we should do that. Maybe that's our next thing we do together. Like we make Parmesan.
It'll be a keto topper.
Yes, exactly. And it's packed full of protein. It's a huge win.
Well, I think you've just come up with your next piece of content as part of this partnership. But seriously, you speak with great passion about almonds, which is what we loved from the get-go with you guys. Yeah. And before interviewing you today, I started looking through your channels to see what kind of proportion of content includes almonds, and I gave up because there's just a ton of it. Yeah. So can you speak a bit about the scale, I suppose, of your existing content, snacks, recipes, whatever that includes almonds?
Sure. I mean, at Bosch, like Henry and I are not shy of a hard day's work, as all you guys are too. My grandfather was a farmer, and I recognize exactly how hard you guys work, so kudos. But for us, we, over the course of the past 6 years, have done more than 1,000 recipes, and that's an awful lot of recipes, that's an awful lot of videos. And I had someone on our team sort of tot up all of the videos that we've done, and it turns out that 10% of the videos that we have featured have had some kind of almond product in it, be that an almond butter, be that almond milk, be that almonds broken up and sprinkled on salads. And if you imagine that we've got 3 billion views, and there's been 1,000 videos, and say there's like 100 of them, that's like 300 million views of almond products, which is pretty cool.
So can you talk a bit more specifically, because that's general content that you've created way before we started partnering. So I know we have an example of a piece of content that you created as part of, we have a UK campaign, which is all about positioning almonds as a natural feel-good fuel. So we came to you guys and we said, help us amplify this messaging. So talk us through a little bit what you did when you created this ultimate energizing recipe.
Yeah, so we did two. That one is, but basically we wanted to really let almonds sing. We wanted to give them the stage, and we want them to become the main event, the main source of protein, the main sort of texture, and the sort of main complementary ingredient for all the other bits and bobs that are there that are super healthy. And you'll look at this video here. An attitude to video making is to not waste anybody's time. So it's super snappy, super colorful, super vibrant. The shots keep changing, so it keeps people engaged and hopefully gets their mouth watering. Yeah, we basically just, like I said, we wanted to make almonds sing. And the other one that we did, which was like really good as well, is snacking granola. So you roast it off, and then basically it just sits in your cupboard, and you can whip it out whenever you're making a salad or something of that ilk, and just sprinkle it over the top to give a bit of kick and to give a bit of flavour. So yeah,
It looks amazing.
good. Well, you should try that at home. If anybody wants any of these recipes, we do Bosch.tv. Check us out on the internet.
All the places.
The interweb.
And this is just one of 1,000 recipes that feature almonds.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's an awful lot of recipes for sure.
So I have just one final question, which I'd like to ask all of you, and it's the same question. So Maya, I'll start with you. So in a nutshell, pun very much intended, what do you love the most about working with California almonds?
Okay, well, I thought about this.
Okay.
There's so many things that I love about California almonds. As a dietitian, I absolutely love farmers, right? And I know that if we want people to eat, we need partnerships with farmers, because farmers just want to get us a wholesome, nutritious product. And so what I love about working with California almonds is that the farmers, the packers, the growers, the distributors just want to get a healthy product onto the plate of people around the globe.
Shelby, same question to you. What do you love most about California almonds?
Absolutely. Well, I've talked a lot about the water footprint, as I'm sure all of you know, but I love taking any sort of product, crop, anything, and really diving deep into every aspect of its sustainability. That's where I thrive, is in the gray areas. And so I think almonds have a very unique, important sustainability story to tell, and I love bringing light and color to the gray areas of the green movement, and I think almonds display that perfectly.
So two very different answers from Maya and Shelby here. Ian, can you bring the two together, I guess, and you know, close this session with a soundbite? What do you love about California?
Well, I'll answer from my perspective as a chef. And they're kind of, almonds are just a wonderfully versatile ingredient, as I mentioned before. You can do savory, you can do sweet. You can sprinkle them on things, or you can snack on them. They're packed full of protein, they're great for antioxidants. They're just generally like an awesome ingredient that you can do so much with. And if you want a soundbite, I would say, they are a professional box ticker. They tick literally all the boxes. So yeah, almonds, you've got it going on.
Okay, California almonds, the professional box ticker.
I love it.
Yeah.
Ian?
I've got another one as well. How about this? They could be the celebrity face of the plant-based movement, almonds.
Okay.
Yeah. Like that one, yeah?
Absolutely.
Ian, Shelby, Maya, thank you so much for joining us today, but more than that, for the work that you do and continue to do to help drive demand for California almonds and also build trust in this product that's good for me and good for the planet. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for having us.
I've just got some housekeeping things that I need to read out before we let you go. Okay, so the sessions after lunch start at 2:45. In this room, it's irrigation in stressful times. In B2, almond food quality and safety resources. In B6, logistics and shipping situation appraisal. If you'd like to talk more to these guys here, we'll be down at the ABC booth on the trade show floor just as soon as they've had something to eat after. So give us half an hour and we'll be downstairs if anyone has questions or would like to interact and ask these guys more questions. The gala dinner this evening, cocktail hour begins at 6 p.m. and doors to the gala dinner will open at 7 p.m. There's a researchers meet and greet from 1 to 2:30 in the poster session area. Visit booth 1018, which is the ABC's resource diner, for some brand new resources. And the conference planning team is conducting research to understand your experiences of conference and your needs, your wants. So during the conference, we'll be conducting several focus group sessions. If you're interested in being a part of these, scan the QR code that you see on the screen now. And be sure to check out the incentive and grower support zone on the second floor lobby, nearly at the end of this. Lastly, in an effort to continue to refine and improve presentations in the future, please feel free to give us your feedback by scanning this QR code. Thank you very much.